Today's reading is going to be about Sedna. In this deck, she is associated with sadness. She is like the goddess of the sea. I'm going to read the mythology associated with this planet. A dwarf planet with a huge elliptical orbit of 11,406 years. She's in the outer limit of our solar system. And for me, the more we get to the limit of our solar system, it's like moving from ego to heart center, universal consciousness, moving from our physical realm to spiritual consciousness, to love and harmony. There are more and more dwarf planets who are mentioned besides the inner planets and outer planets, because we are expanding, our conscience is expanding, and each of these planets, dwarf planets, have a certain energy. Sedna is getting closer to Earth now, which is a big event. Before 1965, it was in Aries. From 65 to 2024, it was in Taurus, and from 2024, it's in Gemini. Looking back in history, we can associate the movements of Sedna with big events in the history of our planet, and now we can see this Gemini sign, the communication with a huge development of AI. For me, the message of Sedna is that we need a different framework of solving issues, to transcend our ego, to let go of everything in order to free ourselves, in order to find a goddess in us. There was once a beautiful woman named Sedna who lived in the far northern shores. This is Inuit mythology. There came a time when Sedna was old enough that her family wishes for her to marry, but Sedna didn't want to get married. She found fault with every one of her suitors and threatened to marry a sled dog instead. Her father was furious with her. So when a handsome and mysterious hunter appeared in their village asking to marry Sedna, he really agreed. The unknown hunter promised to give the family plenty of meat and furs in exchange for her hand, and Sedna decided to consent. After they married, he took her away to his islands. One day, he revealed to her that he was not a man at all, but a bird that had been disguised as a man. Sedna was livid with his deception and even angrier because, as a bird, he was not a very good hunter. He caught and fed her only fish, so he had no meat or furs. But she was stuck on that island, and she tried to make the best of it. Finally, Sedna's father came to visit and instantly saw how miserable Sedna was. He also realized that the mysterious man had been a liar. He killed the bird, put Sedna in his kayak, and started for home. But the bird's family, upon finding him dead, scratches in anger. They set out to avenge him, beating their wings so hard they started a storm. The tiny kayak was soon overwhelmed, and Sedna's father, desperate to get rid of the birds and save himself, threw Sedna overboard. Sedna quickly grabbed on the side of the boat and would not let go, so her father drew his knife and sliced off her fingers. Sedna raged, and she sank to the bottom of the sea, and she became a sea goddess, and her fingers became seals and whales, and her hair grew to entangle all the sea creatures of the world. So I understand why the card as such is associated with sadness, but I see all those 10 fingers that had to be cut as letting go, letting go, letting go, and all attachment, all possible attachment. And then she heard the sound of the maybe unborn whales and seals, and she let go of her physicality, and by doing that she became the goddess. It doesn't mean that you need to get out of your body to find the light in you, the divine in you. Issues that are associated with Sedna, let's say, are issues that cannot be solved with our ego. It's more important to let go of them and then realize that there's going to be a new framework, which we don't really understand how it works. That's why it's making so difficult. How can be a problem solved in that new framework? But once we free ourselves, we will trust that a new way of being, it will be shown to us. And that's what happened with Sedna, who end up, as far as I know, to find her love, another goddess. When I read that story, and the more I was thinking of the 10 fingers, it happened that I also saw a movie called The Butterfly Effect. In that movie, somebody has the power to go back in time and change some events in order to solve a situation that was dramatically for him in his childhood. But every time he goes back and he tries a solution, and I don't know, maybe he even tried 10 solutions, like the 10 fingers, somebody else is hurt. And he does this with love, actually. He wants to save the one that he loves. But the last attempt is when he realizes he has to let go of that love as well. And he tells her, going back in time, that he doesn't want to see her again. So then the whole chain of bad events, let's say, do not happen anymore. He's back in a lifetime where that love is not present. But the last scene of the movie is that in the new timeline, at one point, they will meet again. Love is above the timelines. And I was so impressed about the movie, and because I mentioned the 10 fingers in Beneath the Moon, where we have this story of Sedna, the card associated with her story, it's the 10 of Swords, the Lord of Ruin. And this is a card of deceptions, death in a way, because by this catastrophical event, your ego dies and then you are rebirth. It's a kind of cycles of endings and beginning. What is also amazing for me is that this 10 of Swords is associated with the Sun in Gemini. So we said that now Sedna is in Gemini. It cannot be a coincidence that we have this 10 of Swords as the Sun in Gemini. And the card from Tarot associated with Gemini, it's the card of the Lovers. So if we think in this way, I put it here, we have the sun shining on our relationships now, especially when Sedna is in Gemini. So we really need to look at our relationship. Are they really bringing us love and harmony? Just get rid of everything that's not love, that's not coming from love. So we have Sun in Gemini. I rearranged the card and it's more obvious. That was the 10 of Swords. And the ruler of Gemini actually is Mercury. And Mercury is associated with the magician. We have all the tools necessary to deal with these issues. And there is another thing about everybody's chart. Mercury is always close to the sun. If they are in the same house in your chart, it means that it's like your heart and your mind are working together. And if not, they are sending you different messages. But in this situation, we have the sun in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini. So we can put our heart and our mind together, use the power of our mind to look for the messages of the heart, to become more heart-centered. Sedna, as such, is a higher octave of the dwarf planet Ceres. I hope I said it well. She was the Roman goddess of the harvest, the goddess of the spring. It's associated with our ability to love and be loved. And Ceres as such is also the higher octave of the moon. So we had Sedna as the higher octave of Ceres, and now Ceres the higher octave of the moon, which is our emotional center. And then we come back to what I said about the fact that now having the Sun and the Mercury in the same sign, we can reconcile between our heart and our mind, and then our emotions, our emotional center is stable. We can really look for harmony. That's how I see all these cards coming together. And how I'm going to continue now is that we'll look at all the tarot cards that are associated with what we now have on the table. So we had the Sun, we have Gemini, we have Mercury, and we have the Moon. And for all of these cards, I'm also going to read you the short story. You can pick up one of them, of the four of them. We will associate them also with a certain type of situation or the certain type of Sedna situation that maybe you have to deal in your life. And then I'm going to pick up two cards from the salt water reading cards, and then also, because it's about relationship, the shadow lofty, which is a beautiful deck with powerful vibes. So we had, let's start with the end. We have the moon, and in this deck, this is Princess Kaguya, a Japanese fairy tale. One day, an old childless bamboo came across a mysterious glowing stalk of bamboo. He cut it open and found a lovely, teeny baby girl inside. Delightedly, he took her home to his wife, and they raised her as their own, naming her Kaguya. From then on, every bamboo stalk he cut down had gold in it, gold he used to become rich and give his daughter a fine education and beautiful clothes. As Kaguya grew older, she grew more radiant and soon wore of her magnificent spread. 5 princes proposed to her, and to each she gave an impossible task. All 5 princes failed, and Kaguya remained unwed. Then the Emperor of Japan proposed to her, and she denied even him. Sounds familiar? The story of Sedna? That summer, Kaguya grew restless and anxious, visibly conflicted about some problem. Finally, like a clear lotus blossoming from murky water, she confessed to her adopted parents that she was actually a princess from the moon. She had been sent to earth to remain protected while a celestial war racked the heavens. But the war was over, and her heavenly family was coming to collect her. She was given the choice to stay with the woodcutter or return to the moon and forget her life on earth. It was a difficult decision with no clear answer. This is definitely a type of Sedna issue. Soon the celestial entourage came from Princess Kaguya, and she chose to go with them. With tears in her eyes, she said goodbye to her foster parents. When her heavenly robes were placed on her shoulder, her tears disappeared. She forgot her parents and all her time on earth and returned to the moon. So it's another difficult situation. Letting go in this story of entirely physicality, how to let go of repeated pain, because she felt that pain again and again of not maybe belonging, of not finding her place, and now finally she let go of that, and her emotion were back into harmony. That will be one story, the story of the moon, of letting go of repeated pain. Then we have the sun associated with the story of Ra. Of course, you can see that in the card such. In the beginning, the sun god Ra emerged from the waters of noon as a geometric Theban stone. The sun, Ra's and possess across the sky for the first time. Ra was all-powerful and could take many forms. He was the morning sun at dawn, the full sun at noon, and the evening sun at sunset. His power was in his secret name and his ability to call into being that which he named. Ra proceeded to name all the things in Egypt, including the people, and set himself as Pharaoh over all. By this time, Ra was very old and he decided to leave the ruling of the earth to humanity. He took his place in the heaven, traveling through the sky by day and crossing the underworld in a boat through the 12 divisions of Duat by night. Thought it is a dangerous journey, each morning Ra is reborn by the goddess Nut. Leaves his ruling to humanity, allowing then, I will say, love and harmony to rule the earth. So let's associate the story of Ra with allowing love and harmony, if that's what you need in your life at this moment in time. The next card we will have, it's the card associated with Mercury in Tarot, which is the Magician. And for the Magician, we have the fairy godmother story, a helpful creature who has supported Cinderella. So I'm not going to read this story, but just think of that like we have all kind of gifts. If we are aware of them, we can deal with victimization, with the idea that things happen to us. And then we can become aware of our thoughts. Because actually where we are going through right now, it's based on our thoughts, on our wishes from the past. And in this present, we can just focus on what we want for the future. If we let go of the idea that we are victims of the universe, of the situation, we can get this magical wand, because we are the magician. This is what we came here to rediscover. Once we find the power in our heart, once we harmonize the heart, like we said, with the mind, and then go into our heart, take decisions based on heart. When we live heart-centered and less mind-centered, then the thoughts will follow the heart. So then it's great to have thoughts, but those thoughts are going to create our future. So be aware of that. And in a way, this week I had a kind of funny thought when I wanted to order a coffee at Starbucks. You know how difficult it can be if you just say, I want a coffee. Then they start asking which type of coffee you want, and then which type of milk, and if you want sugar, if you say you want sugar, which type of sugar. So the same way the universe, let's say, or our higher self, because I see this fairy grandmother as our higher self who can fulfill our wishes, but our wishes have to be clear. Ordering a coffee, give all the details. I am aware at personal level that whatever I experience now, it's the result of my wishes, and I'm grateful for that. But I also realize that my order to the universe was not very clear in detail, so I get what I asked for. Become the magician and use your thoughts for the higher good of all, in line with your higher self, and then stop feeling that you are the victim of the circumstances. Be very much aware that if you have your heart and your mind like this in a right place, centered. For me, it's important to have it in the 0 point from the infinity sign, let's say, to be heart-centered. Then you become the magician, creating your own reality. And then we have one more story, and that's the story of Gemini, the lovers. We have the card here. That's the story of the Beauty and the Beast, which I suppose we also know, so not really necessary to read it again. It's also accepting love and harmony, but I will see it here as turn trauma into a blessing. In the beginning, it felt something dramatically, but then when she saw the soul of the beast, she turned the trauma into a blessing. The curse was gone, and then they could live happily ever after. Happiness is a feeling of a moment, but the idea is clear that they made peace with themselves. They found love and harmony. That is definitely possible. Sedna, in a way, she also finds love and harmony when she turned her trauma into a blessing. I will come back with the readings. If you were attracted to the card of the Sun and the tarot card of the Sun, the idea of allow love and harmony in your relationship, let's see salt water card for you. And you have the blue grouper, gender roles, a number 3, and you have a number 9 here. 3 times 3 is 9. The blue grouper is a very large fish. They live in shallow coastal waters and reefs. Actually start life as brown colored and are all females. The blue color is reserved for the male of the species, with adult females remaining brown. All groupers are born female, and it's not until they become adults that some will become a male and change color to blue. The numbers of male is limited to how many are needed in order to keep the population reproducing. Wow! Gender roles. I see this how to use your feminine and masculine energy when it's needed. You bring up your masculine energy, which is also, let's say, the sun. You can think of the god Ra, and if not, you are just using your feminine energy. As human, we are born into a society with very strong ideas about the roles we will play in life, depending on which sex we are. The message here is that we embody both masculine and feminine traits. We are not defined or limited by our gender or by what others expect of us. We can embrace all or any of the qualities that are available to us as human beings. When the blue comes forward in a reading, you are being asked to look at where you may be enforcing or limiting yourself or others through these outdated stereotypes. Yes. This is maybe how you find a harmony. Remember, the story of Sedna was also let's say, an LGBT story, but for me it's not necessarily that now you have to change your sexual orientation. It's just to be open to see the spirit, the soul in people, go beyond male and female, so you can use both energy and balance them so that you can just shine. And that's a way to find love and harmony in all of your relationship, acceptance of people as well, the way they are. And then a card from the shadow love tea, so which will be the shadow for you to deal with. Makes conscientious decisions to keep partner away from their inner circle. Hesitates in introducing partner to family or friends. So, yeah, I don't know how I see it here. Maybe you have the type of partner that you don't people to know. Maybe you have to come out or come in, be proud of your choices, wherever your choices are, because in the end you need to go for love and harmony in all your relationships. So if this is your shadow, then find a way to make peace with your choice. Thank you for watching. If you feel attracted to the moon and the card of the moon, let go of repeated pain in order to stabilize your emotion. I will pick up a card from the salt water reading cards for you. And you got this beautiful dolphin. Be joyful. Dolphins have universal appeal. They are renowned for their intelligence, friendliness, ability to communicate not only with their own kind but also with others, and their joyful and playful nature. They are known as social species living in pods that vary in number. I say they are also different species, maybe from another planet like this, the story of the moon here. They come forward to encourage you to enjoy the many blessings that living gives you. It beckons to you to come and play, laugh, be frivolous, and bathe in the riches of life. Sometimes we are so busy and we get too caught up with the everyday course that we stop smiling, forget to enjoy ourselves, and start to feel angry and resentful. The dolphin encourages you to make time for play and to understand that enjoying life, acknowledging your blessing, laughing with your friends, and letting yourself be a little silly is really important. Laughter is beneficial, as is play and acknowledgement of our body and the pleasure it can give us. The dolphin asks you to take pleasure in life through your interaction with others. It also encourages you to find joy in your own company. Explore your sense more deeply, your ability to feel, taste, hear and see, and discover the many pleasures that senses can create for you. Yes, and that's a way to let go of any repeated pain, maybe of feeling of not belonging. You are here now, you are in this physicality, in this body. Make the best of it because it's a gift. The way I see it, we are in a big change, something that it's unique maybe in the universe, moving from 3D to 5D. And there are a lot of souls willing to come on earth. There are not enough bodies, let's say. So just enjoy the body as long as we are in this beautiful elemental that connects us with Mother Earth. And even if we feel like our energy is much bigger and it has to be pushed to enter the body, just make even peace with that. I saw a beautiful movie about that. I think the name was Atlas, which I saw like accepting the limitation of the physicality, but then let go of repeated pain. When you feel this pain that you are just restricted and you let go of it, and it's totally cutting loose of any desires of being different, let's say, just accept that you have the chance to be in this body, and the existence that you have on earth offers you so many pleasures, and just enjoy all of them. And that, I think, will be the meaning of this card for you. And if it's about the shadow, what maybe you need to know at this time, it's bulldoze, intimidating, aggressive behavior that leaves others feeling frightened and unsure how to get their own way regardless of others. So maybe not to be like that and to be more like the dolphin. Between these two, you can figure out how to let go of the pain. Thank you for watching. If your choice was Mercury, the magician, the card, which I said it's about dealing with victimization and realizing that we are not the victim, we can manifest, we are the co-creators, we can go from being a victimized to become the manifester, then maybe to go with the flow and finally becoming the flow. Use this magic wand to let things happen through you. The card for you from the saltwater deck, it's going to be the bubbler crab. Creativity. The solution is creativity, and you have here the 20, which actually reduced to 2, and then you have 4, 2 times 4. So the cards, I see they are connected. Let's see the messages. The bubbler crab is a small crab that lives on sandy beaches. Measuring around 2 centimeters, they are a very similar color to the sand, so can camouflage themselves well in an attempt to avoid predators. is associated with creativity and inspiration. It encourages you to look for ways you can bring more creativity into your daily life. Perhaps it's time to get a little crafty, or maybe there is a creative project you have considering embarking on. When the bubbler crab marches forward, it's asking you to get in touch in a deeper way with your artistical side. Look to nature for inspiration, look a little deeper, and you will notice the simple patterns that connect together, repetitive sequencing and color combination used by Mother Nature. They are both simple and complex in their entirety. Creating or working with mandalas, exploring sacred geometry, and time spent admiring and connected with nature are all ways that we can discover new forms of inspiration. Spending time with like-minded people who inspire you can also be indicated when the bubble crab makes an appearance. Yes, use your creativity, which is a powerful skill that you have in this human experience, to create new thoughts, because Mercury is also mind-oriented. It's the ruler of Gemini, air sign. So just be aware of your thoughts and be creative with your thoughts. Creating this beautiful mandala, why not creating a new earth, which is like a beautiful mandala, in whatever way you want to do that. And if it's about the shadow that you have in this process, just because wears or keeps something but doesn't understand the significance of it, loses things of personal value to others, treat it as just stuff. Just be aware if this bubble crab is so small and you can't see it, but if you are aware of it, you can use it. And I see like these are piling up if you don't pay attention. This will be the cards for you, and thank you for watching. And if your choice was Gemini, which is the card of the lovers in Tarot, and this was associated with the situation of turning trauma into a blessing. Let's see what a saltwater card you get. The coral. Wow, beautiful. The coral message is strength. As the support mechanism and the fortress for many sea creatures, corals is also seen as having the ability to protect others. Whether it be physical strength, emotional strength, of your own strength of character and integrity, coral wishes to remind you that you are perfectly capable of looking after yourself, and that at times you will also be responsible for helping others when they are feeling weak or vulnerable. Wow, this is so perfect with this turn trauma into a blessing. While rigidity and having an impenetrable barrier can work very well when we need to protect others or ourselves, it's important to remember that not everyone wants to hurt us. Sometimes we need to let our guard down, expose that vulnerable interior, or admit that we ourselves may need help. It is often when we allow others to see glimpses of our vulnerability that our true strength can be measured. Vulnerability, beauty, the strength that we have in us. And in this way, working with our mind, because Gemini is an air sign, working with our heart, we have here the lovers, we can turn trauma into blessings. And then if there is a shadow for this situation, let's see which one is for you. Another 5. You have here 5, the coral, and now you have 59, which is 14, which is another 5. Rushes relationship before being ready. Seeks thrill and excitement, intense feelings of highs and lows, feels a huge need to be loved. Oh yes, exactly like the beast. He needed to be loved in order to get rid of the curse. That's the trauma going on in your life. You can handle it and you will transform it into a blessing. Thank you for watching.